Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Mr. Himani Pandey, Additional Secretary, DPIIT, again, representatives from states. Vishnuji will complete your presentation after that. We look forward to hearing from you on Tamil Nadu. Friends of industry, ladies and gentlemen, as briefly mentioned earlier, warm welcome to all of you to the second edition of the DPIIT-CII National Conference on Ease of Doing Business. We are privileged to have with us Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, join us at the inaugural session of this second conference. Shri Piyush Goyal and his team have been instrumental in reshaping India's economic business environment. Under his leadership, the Indian economy has seen a remarkable shift towards a more competitive, conducive, and adaptive business ecosystem. His leadership has focused on improving the country's EODB with continuous efforts to reduce regulatory burdens, simplify processes, and enhance transparency. His proactive approach, while providing a push to greater digital adoption, has resulted in significant improvements in the country's business environment. Through his steadfast commitment to policy reforms and economic transformation, Shri Goyal has been laying the foundation for a more dynamic, innovative, and globally competitive India. Under Piyushji's guidance and leadership, CII has had the privilege of partnering with DPIIT on a range of reform initiatives, including the National Single Window System, decriminalization of business laws, Business Reforms Action Plans, BRAP, to name just a few. With a view to fast-track resolution of structural EODB issues, the Honourable Minister has also constituted a high-level government CII task force on ease of doing business, chaired by the Secretary, DPIIT, and with active participants from 9 different central ministries. The government has left no stone unturned to empower the businesses and encourage them to contribute towards the new India in the making and taking the country towards Viksit Bharat by 2047. There has been sustained efforts to eliminate the need for physical submission of documents, introduce an effective online single window system for regulatory reforms and permissions, ensure time-bound regulatory approvals and renewals, and many more. And a lot of these we heard recently from the Additional Secretary Himani ji, which he shared with us of what the government has initiated. All the reforms under the government's regime have been undertaken with the active engagement of all relevant stakeholders. Presence of the Honourable Minister for the second consecutive year at the conference today highlights his commitment to involving industry as an important stakeholder in policy making. It enables deliberation on reforms undertaken by both the centre and state governments, while inviting valuable feedback from stakeholders to ensure sustained progress. Today's conference will deliberate on some important EODB issues, starting with this inaugural session. In this inaugural session, we shall have the opportunity to listen to the Honourable Minister, his vision of EODB reforms, which will set the tone for more focused discussions as we move forward, including strengthening the legal and regulatory framework, simplification of labour compliances, and improving tax and customs processes. The day will conclude with an exhaustive interactive session with the Secretary DPIIT, Shri Amarjit Singh Bhatia. Piyush, till now in the program, we've had the benefit of having Himani ji make a presentation on the various initiatives DPIIT has taken, shared that just now. We've had Mr. Swarup from the Government of Gujarat shared how they have taken up, and Mr. Vishnu from Tamil Nadu was sharing his thoughts on what's happening. So may I request Vishnu ji to please come and complete a presentation, after which we want to spend a little while in getting feedback from 4-5 industry members who can share some thoughts in front of you. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. At the outset, let me thank the Honorable Minister for having graced our Global Investors Meet 2024, which was held earlier this year in January, where he was very supportive of the initiatives of the state government. Like I was mentioning the strategy of the state government of Tamil Nadu, we have a three-pronged strategy. Number one is looking at companies trying to enter India for the first time. How do we pitch the state of Tamil Nadu as a preferred investment destination? We have had a fair bit of success on Jaguar Land Rover, VinFast, and Ford. And Ford is a very classic example of how ease of doing business is also ease of exit is also ease of doing business. In 2021, when Ford decided to exit India for various global reasons, they had a manufacturing plant in Sriperumbudur near Chennai. And the government of Tamil Nadu facilitated the exit without a single labor dispute pending at the time of exit. And due to our global events, and when Ford was contemplating entry back to India, there was no second choice. They were more than happy to come back to the state of Tamil Nadu, and Ford's re-entry into India was announced during our Honorable Chief Minister's visit to the US in September a couple of months ago. So this is also ease of exit, is also ease of doing business as we understand from a ground scenario. The second strategy, looking at companies in India but not in Tamil Nadu. Again, the Tatas and Godrej's, which did not have a significant presence in the state, have invested heavily in the state of Tamil Nadu. And last but not the least, I would harp upon the third most important vertical, however hard the government tries to impress upon on ease of doing business. Ultimately, it's a word of mouth from the industry that matters. Our existing investors present in Tamil Nadu for decades ensure that they invest, reinvest, continue to grow, and they don't do a Tamil Nadu plus one on us, is probably one single biggest determinant as far as further investments to come. I'll just quickly summarize the 4 points as far as ease of doing business. I have not consciously taken the single window portal because that is functional in many states. So what is probably unique to Tamil Nadu is which I would want to highlight in this forum. Reducing compliance burden and decriminalization. Again, Tamil Nadu was a pioneer state which introduced this concept, and thanks to the support from DPIIT, we have now scaled it at the national level, and as suggested by Additional Secretary, more deep dive is involved in this, and we will fine-tune the decriminalization process to make it really effective on the ground. This was a broad strategy that we did starting from 2021. We have had a fair bit of success. Developing a decriminalization framework probably is the most important aspect. Right now it is only an inventory of legislation and laws, but what we need is a deep dive, a legal deep dive into each of these repercussions which Tamil Nadu has endeavored upon. This is a mammoth task because it cuts across multiple departments, both at the central and the state level. We've been trying to implement this in letter and spirit to the best extent possible. This is again another pioneering effort from the state. As on date, 1,299 provisions have been repealed, changed, or modified to ensure that decriminalization on the ground is effective. This is probably the highest number for any state in the country as of now. We're still working on it. There are more laws to be repealed. Especially regarding the municipal laws, because many of the municipal acts and laws date back to the British era, and this is something which is anachronistic, and we have taken earnest efforts to decriminalize and regulate those slightly anachronistic laws. We have also deep dive into many of the obsolete acts, especially acts such as the Chennai City Municipal Corporation Act 1919. Many of them no longer relevant. We have taken an earnest effort to decriminalize or ease out the regulations. Those with respect to manufacturing, because Tamil Nadu today has the highest number of factories in the country. As per the latest annual survey of industries, we are at around 39,500 factories, the highest in any number. Second is in Maharashtra. We understand that operational issues are is also part of ease of doing business. You could be there present for the last 10 years, but then every day there could be new challenges which need to be recalibrated and reworked upon. The state has taken cognizance of that, and we have reworked on industrial safety and health, the Factories Act, and wherever the state has an ambit, we've been trying to kind of ease out those laws. This is another effort which Tamil Nadu is quite successful, and we have received excellent feedback from the CII as well as industry partners in Tamil Nadu. BizBuddy, it's a grievance redressal portal where there's a clear escalation matrix. Because what we understand from the industry is a certainty, a reduction or certainty is what the industries expect from the government. It could be 10 days, 20 days. It's not about how fast is it alone. It's about certain, if it's 20 days, can it be done in 20 days? So we have put a very realistic time frame, because many of the approvals, etc., are quite technical in nature, requiring very detailed percentage. For example, fire safety, etc., requires very detailed vetting. It may not be really possible for somebody to get a license in 7 days, 20 days. So what we have put is a realistic time frame, but ensure that we stick to it. So there's a clear escalation matrix where there's a nodal officer. There is a nodal officer appointed for each department. Then there's a head of the department. There's a secretary of the concerned department, the chief secretary, and the chief minister's office if required. Most of the time, it doesn't go beyond stage 3, which is the secretary to the corresponding department. And this is something which we have tried to follow up. Fair amount of success. Separately, we look at MSMEs also as a separate helpline service. Another initiative which the government has recently embarked upon, this is with the Human Resources Management Department, because not all acts, laws fall under the purview of Industries and Commerce Department. So HRM Department being the nodal agency, we are trying to come out with an initiative called Simple Gov. Again, prioritizing, going more than the regulation, compliance burden, acts and laws given by DPIIT. It's a one step ahead of the RCB norms. A quick on some of the case studies on marquee investments. First Solar, again, a company which is an outcome of a China Plus One outcome. They moved to India for the first time for solar PV manufacturing. 6 months of allocation. Now, what we are trying to do is not just stop with the MOUs, but ensure that there is a grounding, there is a follow-up, and there is a report card also published. We had a follow-up after the Global Investors Meet, sir. Honorable Minister, I would like to highlight that 6 months after the Global Investors Meet, we had a foundation stone and inauguration ceremony where the Honorable Chief Minister actually inaugurated many of the projects that we had signed during the Global Investors Meet. So we are very keen to ensure that the projects are grounded on a time-bound manner. These are marquee investments which the state used as its own bragging right to attract further investments. Tata Electronics, a classic case, 40,000 employment, massive investment. It's literally a township. This will have one of India's largest housing projects in the country, industrial housing projects. Again, if you look at the gamut of operations, it cuts across multiple departments. We've again been trying to ease out all that. In the services sector, again, we have UPS, a Fortune 20 company which scouted for multiple locations across the world, and they decided to set up their first technology center outside the US in the city of Chennai. For want of time, I will pause here, but I'm more than happy to interact with all the representatives here. Once again, thank you DPIIT and thank you CII for giving the state of Tamil Nadu an opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vishnu, for sharing your thoughts and talking about what's happening in Tamil Nadu. Really appreciate that. I think CI will interact with you more closely, as Himani ji also mentioned, with all the states. We'd like to get more involved and work on ease of doing business issues over there. Minister, now with your permission, what we'd like to do is invite 5-6 industry people to share their thoughts and ideas of what we can look at towards ease of doing business. May I request each one to be very brief? 2-3 minutes each, please. So first, I'd like to invite Mr. Ajay Bahel. I think Mr. Ajay Bahel, Chairman CI Task Force on Judicial Reforms and co-founder and managing partner, AZB and Partners. Ajay, please.
Thank you, Ajay. Good afternoon, Minister. First of all, thank you for kickstarting the decriminalization and continuing to make progress on that. I need his approval for you to approve something. the way.
My apologies, there's too much happening right now.
There always is.
We really appreciate you putting out the time to issue. Ajay, can I request that everyone to keep it just a minute, minute and a half?
Yes, yes. I just need something approved so that we implement it on impact analysis. So all this decriminalization is very welcome. One of the problems with that is that insofar as the impact analysis is concerned, our national grid doesn't drill down to the kind of cases there are, so that it's sort of taking a view on how a particular case will impact the pendency is not available. If you permit, we can reach out, and I've already got offers from 2 colleges, one with legal background, one with data analysis. If you approve, we could do a pilot project, let's say in the state of Haryana, where we can drill down to the district courts and the courts and actually make the website so deep that you're able to see what the case is, what section it's filed under, so that when you look at decriminalization, you know exactly the impact that might have on pendency. So if you approve, then I can take that with the DPIIT. And the second is to request you to consider removing the retrospectivity bar in Jan Viswas 1 so that we can apply it to the past proceedings. You have already accepted that with subsequent amendments, sir. There is no bar any longer. No, sir, subsequently the amendments they have made, जो बाद में law amend हुए हैं उसमें they have no bar on retrospectivity. So law seems to have accepted. There are many sections which have been acts which have been amended after Jan Vishwas 1 individually. There is no bar on the applicability of this retrospectively. And law last time when we had the same session, they had sort of agreed, we had given them the decisions also. So in the first one, if you agree, then I can take it up with DPIIT and see if we can get this drill down done for the pilot project.
Thank you. Thanks, Ajay. May I now request Mr. Rishi Kumar Bagla, Deputy Chairman, CII Western Region, and Chairman and MD of BG Lee-In Electricals Limited.
Good afternoon, Piyush ji. Whereas we have done a lot on ease of doing business, one area which I feel we need to look at is that the principal role of administration at district levels should be hand-holding the administration equally responsible as the industries for doing this. And for that reason, I recommend, sir, that we must have an extensive training program at the district level for people to understand and get motivated for the purpose of ease of doing business and why India needs to be number one in the world. And so the training becomes a very important thing at the district level, and I feel hand-holding part of the administration has to be the critical factor, sir. MSME will greatly benefit with that. That's my suggestion, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bagla. May I now request Mrs. Kaku Nakhate, Co-Chairperson, CII National Committee on MNCs and India Country Head, Bank of America.
Good afternoon, sir. Only one small recommendation. This was more from PLI perspective because we do want to get advantage of China +1. Today when I actually talk to people who are setting up plants in India, basically on environment, there are 5 acts. Environment, forest, wildlife, air and water. If I look at some of our other competitor countries, basically we could try and integrate this into one from a compliance angle. It will also help us on the ESG front later on. So that was one. And the second was a corollary is on waste management. Waste management and tracking waste management is becoming equally important. Today we do have, again we have multiple EPR compliances. Whether it's plastic, e-waste, battery, all of these are different forms. So when a multinationals or any Indian companies also are filling in, they are filling different forms to achieve the same purpose. Even from a country's perspective, if it's integrated, at one place we know whether the waste is being handled better or not.
Thank you. May I now request Mr. Ashok Sehgal, Co-Chairperson and CII of CII MSME Council and Managing Director, Frontier Technologies Private Limited. Ashok, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Minister. You have been a champion of exports from India, and you have always supported and pushed for maximum exports. We see something coming up where there is a lot of discussion. I want to make a few suggestions for your consideration and further as you go along in the negotiations. I'm talking about the CBAM tax coming in. I think, first of all, you will agree it's very unfair to say that it's an equal tax on EU and India because the two are not equal. The penalty on both as a percentage of the amount of energy consumed by each of the citizens there or a per capita income of Europe versus India is not comparable. So how can the same penalty be imposed on both and said to be equally fair? Now, within that, the second part is that when we look at what the tax is saying it is doing, is to reduce pollution and environmental damage. The point is that the tax is being collected by Europe. The environmental damage is happening in India. So why should the money remain with them? Whatever taxes they collect should be transferred to the country which is selling the goods into Europe. And in turn, at the next level, if you can take the tax from there, identify the exporters, and provide support to them to begin to be more environmentally compliant, that would be much more fair. It cannot be that we undergo the pollution and they benefit from the taxes. That is very, very unfair. Thank you.
Thank you. I now request Mr. Janardhan Ramanaj Jalu, Vice President and Regional Head, India, SABIC.
Good afternoon, sir. For a change, I'm going to be asking for regulation from you. for a change, I'm going to be asking for some regulation. As we want to increase manufacturing as a part of our economy, industrial accidents are going to be a fact of life despite the best efforts. Currently, the Factories Act is only more about reporting and information, and the labor code is about compensation. Recovery is left open to state rules, and more or less it is now starting with the police and criminal processes rather than treating it as an accident, just like we would treat any other accident, like traffic accident or something. Most of the time, some of those units never recover. They can never be recovered and we lose them. That's the first part. With your permission, I have one more on the exports, if I can. The chemical part of the specialities and part of the industry in the chemical industry is got only about 70% capacity utilization. They are not able to export because of our pollution control norms, which is an absolute limit. Every time they need to go for a modification, when they get an order, and export markets cannot be so patient for us to get our approvals. Overall approval as a ceiling for each site, if that can be allowed, exports can be very agile by our specialty chemical industries because they have the capacity. They just lose time in getting the approval and the order is gone. So I think this is something one can consider. So there is capacity in the chemical industry, sir, and they get export orders. But the chemical industry needs to go to MOEF to get approval for change in the portfolio, and that is a long time-consuming process. They have maximum ceiling of emissions which they can meet, but to get, yeah. So, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'd now like to request Mr. Mohit Agarwal, MD, Global Banking, India, South Africa, of HSBC, to raise his points, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Minister. From our side, I think what we recommend is redesignation of export credit under the PSL category for all banks. While we have aggressive targets on overall achievement of exports, over the last couple of years, we have actually seen a reduction of export credit, especially from the time when it has moved away from a PSL for most of the banks. If this can be designated back as a PSL category, it will help to increase liquidity to our exporters and also help the Make in India initiative, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to request Mr. M. Punaswamy, Co-Chairman, CII MSME Council and Chairman and MD of Pon Pure Chemical Private Limited.
Good afternoon. Yes, sir. Sir, two reforms. It's a very good program you have introduced, National Single Window System and India Land Bank. Both has to achieve full success means on National Single Window System, there should be a grievance cell managed by Deputy Secretary level officer. I think IAS officer, they can contact and get things done because it is done by professional, I know. But when the IAS officers speak, work can get done very fast. It's a practical this thing, they'll be able to reach to them and get it. I think this is one thing. And also this India Land Bank, it's only available land is mentioned. Is there any possible to get the allotment or somebody applies, whether we can speak to the states, so that there are a lot of issues getting land by companies as well as MSMEs. They are waiting. Many states they are waiting, sir. I think this, we need some, we have to talk to the states and bring in the portal so that they apply and get it online. This is a great relief, sir.
I think we've got 7 members who've asked their questions. Thank you so much for asking. Piyush has made a note of many of them and will, I think, share some when he talks about it. Piyush, next is we'd like you to please launch our EODB and regulatory portal, which we have. So, Renuka, please.
Yeah, thank you. It gives me great pleasure to announce the launch of the CII EODB and Regulatory Affairs portal, and for which I'd like to request the Honorable Minister to do the kind honors. Can we have the remote, please? Yeah.
Welcome to CII's dedicated portal on ease of doing business and regulatory affairs. Your platform for insights on India's business environment and to upload and track suggestions for further improvement. The portal attempts to provide status and updates on key initiatives on EODB by both the government as well as CII. While initiatives of the government encompass center, state, and regulators, those by CII cover policy advocacy endeavors across sectors and states. A unique feature of the portal is its personalized interface, accessible through My CII credentials, enabling users to submit issues and recommendations for policy interventions at various levels. Suggestions are streamlined through a standardized but simple input format to ensure clarity and uniformity. With a dedicated member dashboard, users can track progress on submissions on a real-time basis, ensuring transparency, accountability, meaningful and timely resolution of concerns. Visit the portal as your gateway to seek seamless issue resolution. Log on to CIIEODB.in.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the proud privilege to invite Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you very much, Ajay Shriramji, for organizing the second national conference on ease of doing business. Thank you, Himaniji, for that presentation which I just saw, and leaves very little more to be added to at least what has already been done. It's been captured quite well in that presentation, both with statistics, with details of the progress made, and the sincerity of purpose with which you and your team are working to hopefully make life easier for business. Thank you, Mr. Milon Nag, for your leadership of this initiative, Marut, and all the other distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I was just now reading the entire day's agenda, and it's truly very, very gratifying to see the level of participation, the subjects that you have taken up, cutting across different areas, whether it's financial systems, taxation, labor laws, environment. And I do look forward to receiving the recommendations at the end of today's discussions, which will help us in our work going forward. We are in our third term. Come back with renewed vigor, come back with a commitment to the people of India to work with 3 times the speed, work 3 times harder, get 3 times more outcomes, and have an impact which is 3 times bigger on the people and businesses in India. And that can only happen when we have the support 3 times more from all of you also, so that in the next 3 years, we can make India the 3rd largest economy in the world. And that's the power of 3, the power of the government, the industry bodies, and the stakeholders. All 3 of us, when we come together, we can truly make a difference to the way India works, to the business processes, to the various legal processes. And I have no doubt in my mind that once we get the inputs from you, from the considered ideas that each one of you or your subgroups comes up with. Our officials take every single suggestion very, very seriously. I can give you that personal assurance. And if at any point of time you ever feel that we are not serious enough about your suggestions, please feel free to come right up to me and let me know. But I can assure you that your effort will not go waste. Your participation means a lot to us, and it is this synergy between industry and the government which can truly have an impact on the way we work, on the way we collectively try to make life easier both for businesses and for the common citizen of India. I must also say that unlike in the past, we are working to a plan. It's not as if things are happening on their own. We are not looking at that old thing we used to hear when we were young, and it was often said that Bhagwan is desh ko chalata hai. देश तो चलेगा ही, हम कुछ करें या ना करें, सरकार कुछ करे या ना करे. Those days are gone, where we had left it to destiny, where we had all assumed that this country works at night, and all those silly adages that we used to hear. Those days are history now. We are all working to a plan, almost very much like all of you in business. Work to targets, work to a vision, you have a mission to achieve, you have teamwork, you have ideation, you have actions, you have KPIs, you are monitoring what's happening, you're holding people accountable to what's going wrong or right. You're looking at even the Japanese style, that if something is going right, we'll have to examine why it was not done earlier and why did we lose so much opportunity in the past if there was a better way of doing things. We are literally held accountable for our work by our leaders, by our seniors right up to the Prime Minister in every action that we also do. And I think that's why we are able to perform, that's why we are able to have calibrated reform. And I think if the states and the center can work together, if we can get our local bodies also to work together, and industry to not just talk to the government of India, but at every level, build up the momentum for change, we can have transformational results. Thank you, Thiru Vishnu, for the ideas that you shared with us, for the achievements of Tamil Nadu. I recall in one earlier interaction, I was quite happy with some of the municipal reforms that were done by Tamil Nadu. And I had asked my department to take it to every state in the country. And we are ready to learn from experiences of other states, experiences that you may have with any officer, with any particular department at any level. And therefore, please feel free to share with us. Wherever you want anything to be kept confidential, I assure you we'll keep that also confidential. But it's irrespective of which party is in power, which government is running the show, our objective is cooperative federalism. How can all of us collectively make life better and easier for all of you? And therefore, any good examples. I remember in agriculture, we had taken a portal called Fruits, 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 by which they were mapping the agricultural produce of Karnataka across the state. We liked it so much, we took it to every state in the country, asking them to see if they could emulate that. Then, of course, we also got some ideas where other states bettered what was on offer. And that's the advantage of working as a team. That one proposition is on the table, it becomes a challenge for others to try and do better. And then that has a snowballing multiplier impact. It's just a change in mindset that collectively all of us have to focus on. Once the mind is open and willing to accept change, willing to accept somebody else's ideas as having merit, then I think there'll be no limitations to the amount of impact we can have on businesses and also on the way people work. Himaniji, of course, shared with you some of the work, whether it was the Jan Vishwas 1 bill. I'll be happy to take up your suggestion to see if even that could be made retrospective. If there are examples, please share it with Himaniji. She will discuss with the law department, and if necessary, while passing Jan Vishwas 2, we'll also see if we can add retroactive benefits. No retroactive negativity, please. Only retroactive benefits on an optional basis. Please bear that in mind. I don't want to land up with the UPA type situation where we cause a complete collapse of the trust in India's systems with retroactive taxation coming in and killing investor appetite to come to India. Anything we'll do has to be positive if retroactive. If there's anything which hurts anybody, it can only be prospective. That's a commitment that this government has made on the floor of Parliament, and in our 10.5 years of government, we have, I dare say, we have not done one negative which can hurt industry with retrospective effect. If at all anything happened by the courts, it's unfortunate. And I believe some former judge is also going to participate in the next session. Food for thought for all of you. But government can proudly say we have not done anything retroactive. And anybody who has had any experience where a government action has retroactively impacted you negatively, please again bring that to our attention. We are happy to examine that, re-examine that, and see whether it merits any consideration. She has also talked to you about not only Jan Vishwas 2, where we are seeking your guidance and ideas. We will also pick up some of the thoughts that you have mentioned about decriminalizing 300 laws. We have those 1,200 sections which you say have been decriminalized. Please examine all of them, talk to the states. Wherever they have from any central law, we'll be happy to take it forward. Otherwise, we can send in a recommendation to the various states to consider doing that. We had Saurabh from Gujarat, Sarup. And it's not about Gujarat or Tamil Nadu. Take suggestions from every state across the country. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying, let's have a competition amongst all states. Who gives us more and better and practical suggestions? Let's do that as a competitive endeavor amongst all states and union territories. I'm sure, and I have often said this in the past, one of the reasons why we have very difficult tax laws, one of the reasons our law books keep getting bigger and bigger, is the fact that somebody or the other cheats, somebody or the other, advised by lawyers and law firms in most cases, breaks the spirit of the law and comes up with some unique proposition which within the ambit of the law but against the spirit of the law defeats the very purpose of the law. So then the officials sit down and see how we can plug that, and a new section gets added. And then of course we always have, let me correct myself, chartered accountants and lawyers and other professionals. Though I come on both categories, I may not have practiced either of the two. There's always somebody or the other coming up with smart aleck ideas, which then gets the officials to sit down and plug those loopholes, and that keeps snowballing into bigger and bigger law books, bigger and bigger legal frameworks, detrimental to interests of industry. And therefore I think CII, while giving us ideas, should also sensitize your members to start respecting the spirit of the law, respecting the law in its frame and the way it has been framed for what is good for the country. I don't think saving these little bit of small amounts of money or a little bit of extra profit that a few may think they get out of such actions is doing any good to anybody. It's hurting India, it's hurting our economic progress, and hurting ease of doing business very significantly. And this is a message which must go to all the professional firms also. And ultimately, of course, professional firms will only do that when industry goes to them to try and find some unique solution, rather than talking to government to find a solution to your problems. So I would seriously think that we need to change our thinking. Both businesses and professionals need to start accepting the purpose and intent behind the law, and respecting that, move forward in life. And wherever you think there could be a better way to do it, rather talk to the government rather than interpreting the law wrongly. Of course, as a professional, there is no harm, because you first interpret in a particular fashion. When somebody gets into trouble, he comes back to you for further advice how to get out of trouble. So it's a double whammy on you, and a great proposition for somebody who has put you down that path in the first place. So it's a matter of choice that we should all exercise. Ajay ji, aap bhi bachna. Friends, while we have PAN 2, about which Himani ji, I think, talked about, that's only the beginning. There are many other areas where we are willing to relook at the way we have been working in the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and see whether softwares have got outdated, whether the platform on which the particular process has been built needs to be rejigged or made more contemporary, made more modern. We are happy to examine that. So that's another area where I think a lot of our systems must be based on outdated technology, can be more agile, can be faster, can be better, can be smarter. On our end, for example, GEM, the government e-marketplace, was launched about 6, 7 years back or 8 years back. And it's growing by leaps and bounds. Last year possibly did 4 lakh crores of government procurement alone by GEM. This year should be upward of 6 lakh crores by the time we end the year, or maybe more. It's been transformational, the journey. But we recognize that 6 or 8 years is a long time in this age of technology. So we've already engaged through a transparent bidding process. I think it's TCS or Infosys, one of the two. TCS? TCS is now relooking at GEM, how to make it easier, how to make it more contemporary, how to provide ease of operating the system and buying goods and services through that system. Why I'm sharing this with you is that any other government portal or government process, whether at the state or the center, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to share with us. We'll talk to the concerned ministry, department or state to see how we can make it more easier to operate and more contemporary. Similarly, she spoke a lot about the amount of work done on reducing compliances and decriminalizing several sections. But I do believe that there are areas where a lot of misinformation is sought to be proposed and provided to the people of India. There are some people who exaggerate the difficulties also. That also has a detrimental impact. I'll give you an example. If there's a Shop and Establishment Act in every state of the country, and it has a particular provision, which I agree needs to be amended. But if we presented that is 36 compliances, then I think we are doing disservice by adding all of these in each state, in each union territory, making it as 36 compliances, and then in such manner 1,000 compliances become 36,000, which would rather be better explained if we were to say that this is a problem. We need to address this problem with all the states. If we pull out 20, 30 such issues, we can have an interaction on VC with all the states, and that would straight away resolve 1,000 compliances. But when you are presenting it to the people, and if even as an industry body some other private sector people do come out with such reports. And more often than not, when we have asked them to give us the details, somebody says there's 50,000 compliances, 60,000 compliances. A liquor company the other day was speaking of some phenomenal number of licenses they need to take. I said, please send us the details so we can talk to the states. We can see how we can commonalize processes. But to date, we haven't received a single document. I was just confirming from her before I came here that whether we got those details from the company which says there's 60,000 compliances, we didn't. So I think it's time we also started presenting the positives and recognizing what are the problem areas and really which are the priority ones which we need to resolve and where we can make simple effort but have a pan-India impact. Particularly whatever we can do at the center will receive the highest and fastest consideration. That I can guarantee for you. Another thing which I have mentioned on many occasions to CII, last time it was not taken nicely, so I don't know whether I should remind you again, but I do believe that the national single window that we have created needs inputs from all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without which I'm almost inclined to abort the idea. The choice is now with you. If you feel that you are not interested in it, I'm spending a lot of money on it, and I've come to a stage where I'm almost inclined to abort the entire idea. I'm once again urging you, hopefully for the last time, unless each one of you engages with the national single window, tries to get your licenses, your approvals through that, and give us your feedback. For us, it seems as if the industry does not have an interest in either the national single window or the industrial land bank. I am not at all suggesting it's perfect. But to make it better, I need inputs. I have no industry to run. I have no business to be sitting down and applying for any license or approval. So I don't know how good or bad it is. The same goes for all my officials. I don't think CII, Marut or Chandrajit is also going to do any business. So it's up to all of you. You choose. If you want a single window, somebody spoke about land availability also. Well, we created a national land bank. Of course, it needs some more support from the states also. But we stopped putting in more effort and money in it. But we realized there's hardly any traction, hardly any interest in industry. So you can keep trying till the cows come home, sir. But every effort we do to try and offer you on a platter availability of land across the country. And I did it with my own personal experiences of difficulty of getting land, which I won't repeat. I've said it on on hundreds of occasions. But sadly, there's very little interest amongst stakeholders to tell us whether we are even on the right track. NICDIC, the National Industrial Corridors Development Company, 20 smart cities are being developed all over the country. 4 are already operational. 4 are under implementation. 12 more are still at the DPR stage, but approved by the central cabinet. Now that's going to give you a lot of land on a plug-and-play basis. But friends, give us your feedback. What do you want? All of those locations are in public domain. One we couldn't release at that time was Hisar of Haryana. There's no model code of conduct now. That was the 20th. So close to Delhi. Dighi, 6,000 acres. After the Atal Setu built by the center and state collectively, when we were both in government together, Devendra Fadnavis there and Prime Minister Modi here, Atal Setu has opened up the whole mainland for building the Mumbai-Pune region as a hub of economic activity. Dighi is developing 6,000 acres. Often the chemical industry used to tell us we need tankages, we need facilities to grow our chemical business. No better location than Dighi. You could have your pipelines from there, go straight to the port. Krishnapatnam, I have salt pan land there which I can give to the port. Build whatever tankages you want. I mean, there's so much happening. All of it in public domain. But yet, not even once, somebody from the chemical industry has approached us. And you're from the chemical industry also. About how you can expand your business, what more we can do for exports. ऐसा मत करना कि वहाँ टैंक्स बना के इंपोर्ट करके माल स्टोर करने के लिए बना दो. अगर जरूरत हो तो वो भी करिए, मुझे आपत्ति नहीं है. But I think we should seriously, all of us, introspect that are we engaging in using what the government wants to do to get the best out of the thousands of crores we are spending to encourage Indian industry, manufacturing, exports, all those lakhs of crores given to PLI schemes. I do think we need to do much more. Please study all the import statistics. All are out there in public domain. HSN code-wise data is available. It should give you the ideas which are the industries where investments are called for, where the demand is. I always look upon growing imports as a great signal of growth and development, as a great signal for entrepreneurs and business persons to invest in those sectors. And of course, if there's any unfair competition, we are fast-tracking anti-dumping and safeguard actions. There are times when I realize that even the 180 days or 250 days required for any of these actions, if they are long and can hurt an industry, we have taken proactive action in 24 hours in consultation with the line ministry and after assessing the impact on the whole value chain. We have even taken action in 24 hours to protect sectors which need it. Yesterday, one particular industry which has a lot of concerns about dumping in India was talking to me day before yesterday, not yesterday I think, and telling me that they want faster action on their safeguard. I said, but you are opposing the safeguard to another sector who's a supplier to you. You can't say that my sector needs protection, but somebody else in my value chain can go to the boondocks. If you want protection, the whole value chain needs protection. So unless you support them, I'm not supporting you. Is that a fair proposition? It can't be about me, myself, and only my interests. We'll have to protect the interests of our whole industry. We'll all have to start looking at supporting each other, buying from other Indian manufacturers. Somebody dumps goods from abroad and we get so excited and we start using that. Tomorrow the same can happen to you. Remember that. And therefore, I'd just like to conclude by saying, please participate. I'm glad that you had this whole day session for the second time. But I do believe at the end of the day, you must also come up with a tangible, time-bound action plan and engage industries. Why can the top 50 groups in the country, and each of them has 100 companies, if just those top 50 groups in the country and all the various companies within those groups start engaging on the various suggestions I've given today, start making a commitment that we'll first give a preference to Indian guys, suppliers, like you see in Korea, like you see in Japan, like you hear Mr. Trump, the President-elect of the US, talk about, like the Inflation Reduction Act proposes to encourage, like the Europeans are doing through CBAM and all these other deforestation and other regulations. What stops Indian industry from also being a part of this effort to support each other? Support the government to help us help you. So I can only say, please share your insights, your practical suggestions, because you're all powerful people. But with great power comes great responsibility. And we would like you to exercise your power responsibly. Opportunity doesn't knock again and again. There's a time when it presents itself, when you should actively grab that opportunity. Please embrace your motherland. Please embrace the opportunities, the huge opportunities that aspirational young India, fastest growing large economy in the world, an economy aspiring to become a developed nation in the next 23 years, it's providing all of you that opportunity. Please grab it. Make in India for the world, make in India for each other, make in India smart, make in India competitively and efficiently, and together I think we can do wonders in our work. I'm really grateful once again to CII and to you personally, Ajay, Mr. Milon, Marut, and all of you in attendance, Ajay, Kaku, and all the other distinguished gentlemen, ladies, who gave us your inputs. I look forward seriously for the recommendations that come in after today's deliberations, and I do hope you'll do a follow-up of this, whether in a public forum or in the ministry regularly, so that chambers of commerce and industry associations play that role of a bridge between the stakeholders and government and help us to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Mr. Milan Nag, Co-Chairman CII Task Force on EODB and Chairman and MD KK Nag Private Limited to give the vote of thanks.
Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry,